Hello, you are welcome to the Voice of the Youth. As you may be aware, the Voice of the Youth is a program that comes to you every Monday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. And we have so far discussed very wonderful topics, and some we are behind the scene following up to see how productive they will be and reflect in the lives of the people or the parties involved. Today, we are going to have a discussion that relates to the International Youth Day. In 1999, in its resolution, the 54 points of the 120 resolutions, the General Assembly of the Conference of Ministers of Youth decided and recommended and decided that 12th of August should be celebrated as International Youth Day. And since then, it has been declared the International Youth Day. So on every 12th of August, the youth celebrates this day to share their views and their opinions on very key issues. This year's theme for the International Youth Day has been Youth Engagement for Global Actions. And we are asking that is youth engagement for global action a possibility or a mirage? And for me to have you and other guests to discuss this, we've gathered here today to look at it. And so I want to encourage you to share the link and comment and also invite someone to be part of the discussion. I'll be joined with some guests in the studio for us to discuss the topic as I mentioned. Is youth engagement for global action a possibility or a mirage? But I'll be going for a commercial break. When I come back, I will introduce my guests and then we kickstart the discussion. But before then, I just want to let you know that you are going to be part of the discussion. So the phone lines are opened and you can call in via 030-2234-087. You can also call 030-22-021. If you want to send a WhatsApp message, you can send it through 050-2651-282. And on this platform, we'll get you and respond to your questions. And don't forget that you need to make a comment, especially if you're a young person, because we are just discussing about the celebration of the International Youth Day. Although the day has passed, but we are still within the period. So stay tuned. I'll be back. This program is brought to you by Mido Productions from the studios of Mido Productions Limited. I'm going for a commercial break. When I come back, I'll introduce my guests.
Quality sound and video, all of this, yeah. All of this, wherever we go, you find us so we can light up the place, yeah. All of this, quality sound and video, all of this, yeah. All of this, wherever we go, you find us so we can light up the place, yeah. We the best, no, no more stress, no, no, yeah, no, better services, yeah, 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 yeah. Quality sound and video, all of this, yeah. All of this, wherever we go, you find us so we can light up the place, yeah.
Do you need that quality video for your TV, your YouTube and Facebook page? Talk to us. Mido Studios, experts in TV shows, virtual concerts, e-learning videos, reality show auditions, preaching, live band recordings and radio commercials. Call now for your booking on 0302-234087 or 0502-651282. Mido Studios, affordable prices awaits you.
Hello, you are welcome back to the Voice of the Youth. So if you just joined us, we have introduced the topic that is youth engagement for global action a possibility or reality? And I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be joined by guests, some in the studio and some via Zoom for us to extensively discuss this topic. And if maybe you've just joined, you are watching live Voice of the Youth. Voice of the Youth is a program that aids discussions that promote personal and national development of young people in this country and beyond. So you are very much welcome to this great show. And don't forget to share the link, invite someone, subscribe, and comment on the page as well. We are live on Mido TV, YouTube, and also you can follow us on Mido Productions Facebook page. So viewers, stay tuned. And once again, let me announce the numbers that you can call in to make your contribution. 030-2230-087 21 or 0302234 and we can respond to your questions there. You can also send a WhatsApp message on 05026512282. Now, quickly, let me just introduce my elegant guests in the studio. I have strong gentlemen in the studio here, and don't see that I'm biased because on Zoom, I have a lady who joined us, so I've tried to kind of balance the equation. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Great.
Wow. So I have to my immediate right a friend and a brother I have known and worked with for almost 11 years now. Yes, almost 11 years now. He is Mike Opeyemi Ige. Mike Opeyemi Ige is a Nigerian, but now he has become a Ghanaian. He is the development consultant for the United Nations, and he's also the project manager for Youth Leaders Fellowship Program, United Nations Population Fund, Ghana. It's a big man, you understand. Michael, you are welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
How is you and you?
Call someone in this small body a big man.
Oh, it's the body that is small, but the person is a big man. How is United Nations Youth doing?
Oh, they are doing well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you generally, I believe, depending on the context. So, I believe people are fine. Well, we'll get there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I will ask that maybe you speak up a little so that my viewers hear you. Right. And so that is Michael Opeyemi Ige, Development Consultant, UN Project Manager, Youth Leaders Fellowship Program of the United Nations Population Fund, Ghana. And also next to Michael is Emmanuel Abu Appington. Emmanuel Abu Appington is also from the UN fraternity. He's UN Youth Ghana Secretary of the Board of Directors, and he's also the CEO of Manpet World and a broadcast journalist at the Radio Universe behind the headline show. Emmanuel, you are welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
By God's grace, we can't complain.
You're okay.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
And I'm humbled and honored to be here with my big brother and a senior comrade. In the youth activism.
Yeah. It's always good to have you.
We've left the comrade era now.
So we're going to have a wonderful discussion. So these are my guests in the studio, and I have some other guests that will join us via Zoom. When they join, I will introduce them to you. So gentlemen, we are aware that in 1999, as I did introduce to our viewers, at the General Assembly of the Ministers of Youth in Lisbon, particularly from the 8th to the 12th of August, there was a conference there in 1999. And the Ministers of Youth recommended that the 12th of August be declared as International Youth Day. And we can attest to the fact that since then, the day has been celebrated worldwide as a day for young people to kind of ponder, reflect on issues and also contribute to their quota to national development or wherever they find themselves. So today we are just looking at that celebration, but we are looking at the topic or the theme as I sent to you, that is youth engagement for global action a possibility or a mirage? And I have some questions that I would like us to actually look at, whether it's really a possibility or a demand. But before we even go into it, I want your introductory comments, 30 seconds each. Is youth engagement for global action a possibility or a mirage? Let me start with you, Michael, then I'll go to Emmanuel.
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Possibility or a mirage? Well, I always say that it depends on how we see it, and maybe there's a thin line between how we see it and the reality on ground. Okay. The truth is that the youth are rising, but sometimes it looks more like a mirage, but also I can say that it's achievable. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So Michael says to an extent it's achievable, right?
Yeah.
Emmanuel, what's your take on that?
I would side with Michael and I somehow feel intimidated being trapped between two Michaels.
Oh, don't be intimidated at all.
That was on the lighter side.
Yeah.
But Michael, I see it as a possibility and not a mirage.
Okay.
We would only consider it as a mirage from where you sit or from where you stand. And I would also say that it's also dependent on the youth themselves.
Okay.
How they have strategically positioned themselves and how the institution or the setup or the system in which they live in at that time is made for them. And I think it is in this modern time or in this 21st century, it is really a possibility simply because I'm very optimistic about tomorrow.
Well, so that's Emmanuel's view, that for him, he see it's very optimistic about it and say that it is a possibility. Emmanuel kind of speak like a young man I will talk about later. So to what extent can we say, so this is a call on the young people and also a call on the leaders of the world, be you young or old. To what extent can we say that this is a right and not a privilege? And do we assume that by this call, the youth are regarded as competent citizens? Emmanuel?
For me, I would say that it is dependent on where we sit.
Okay.
And I would want to start with the issue of Ghana. If you look critically at the 1992 Constitution, Article 62, where it talks about you not being a president unless you are 62 years old. I think that is some of the things I am looking forward.
Unless you're what?
40 years.
Okay, yeah, I want to correct that. So I had 62 years.
Oh, sorry for that.
Wait, you don't want me to become president?
No. Article,
by the way,
I was referring rather to the Article 62 of the 1992 Constitution. That says that unless you are 40 years, you cannot be president.
Yes.
I am looking at coming up soon. Now we are being presented by manifestos of the various political parties in Ghana, and we are in a political season. I am looking and I'm very optimistic that a political party is going to come up with an initiative that, look, when we come, we would look or review this particular article in our constitution, and then we can start from there.
Okay, but Michael, Emmanuel, not cutting you short, but kind of streamline our conversation once again. Do you necessarily need to become president before you can say that as a young person you have been actively engaged? Because I just want to know whether the person is an assemblyman, whether the person is an MP, because I know of a young female MP who is not even 40 years.
Yeah.
So to an extent, can we say that she's actively engaged? So I know where you are going. So let's leave the presidential requirement, whatever it is. But does this call indicate that it is a right for young people, or is just a privilege given to them?
It is their right.
It's a right.
Yes, and I say that because even having been the president of the National Union of Ghana Students, you know, we've always been calling that education should be a right and not a privilege.
Okay.
And if you look at the United Nations very well, they are set up very well. There are two things they are mainly, or their focus is on.
Okay.
And it's on education and employment.
Okay. Thank you very much. Michael, what's your take on that? Do you think as a right?
Well, it's debatable.
Okay.
And before I tell you what I think, I will tell you I'll give you some facts.
Okay. If you can speak up a little.
The question is that it's supposed to be a right, just like education. Well, Ghana is doing well in the UNESCO, charts. I think they're able to meet up with the UNESCO's recommendation when it talks about budgetary allocation on education.
Okay.
Ghana is doing very good. But coming back to your question, it's supposed to be a right, but I will tell you why it looks like more like a privilege.
Okay, tell us.
The question is, what is the percentage of young people in the policy, in decision making?
Okay.
From maybe executive arm or the parliamentary arm. And well, I think we have some quite number of young people in the, but the question is, how many young people are being involved in decision making when you are considering a whole lot of policy documents? So because it starts from there. So from there you can be able to argue and actually argue your point to say that is it a right or a privilege? And I'll tell you why sometimes it looks more like a privilege and not a right. Because now we get to see yes, young people are coming out to participate in active mainstream politics, but also what we get to see is that once we have a politician, then he kind of appoints or gives a kind of, is it called assistance? It's more like, okay, this is your reward, you see? So it's more like people pledge and lobby for it.
So basically, it looks like the call. So to you, it's like it's more a privilege than even a right.
It's up, yes.
Okay, but don't you think? I'll come back to that. But don't you think that it has been? We have had the pictorial view of it being it's a privilege, and now the United Nations, the organization you work for, is saying that there should be youth engagement. So maybe they wanted to make a reality, but we'll go into that discussion. But before we proceed, I want to introduce one of my guests, okay, some of my guests who are online via Zoom. So I have been joined by Sheila Adams. Sheila Adams is the Deputy Head, Gender and Policy, who works with the African Center for Women and Politics. Sheila, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Christy.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
How are you doing? Good afternoon to your cherished viewers this afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm doing you well too. It's good to have you online. And how is the Africa Center for Women in Politics doing?
So far so good. We are still in the struggle and the hustle. And as you know, as a gender-based organization, we are always there to work and also engage stakeholders in how we could encourage more women in the decision-making process, which mainly is governance.
Okay.
So also in an election season, I think there's much work to be done.
Okay.
Even though we have been slowed down with the virus, we are not in normal times, but the power is still on. We are still there.
Okay, that's great. You guys are doing a great job there, especially empowering young women to get actively involved in politics. And as you are aware, today we are looking at the theme for the International Youth Day, and so I'll just get ready. I will be taking your introductory comments after I introduce the other guests. So thank you very much for joining, Sheila. So let me introduce also Dr. Yakubu T. Yusuf. Dr. Yakubu T. Yusuf is the Medical Director for Kojak Medical Center. He is also the CEO of Project Hope and Grab a Cup Foods, and is a former national president for the National Health Student Association of Ghana. Dr. Yakubu T. Yusuf, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So which one should I ask of? How is Kojak Medical Center, how is Grab a Cup, and how is Project Hope?
I'll just say they are all doing fine.
Okay.
They are all doing fine. Yeah.
Okay. It's good to have you online. So viewers, we'll be joined by Dr. Yakubu T. Yusuf and Sheila Adams, Miss Sheila Adams, who are going to join the guest studio, the studio in here. So let me start with you, Sheila. Sheila, with the theme in perspective, youth engagement for global action, do you think it's a possibility, and is it a right or privilege to the young people?
First of all, I think that it is very important that the international community and locally, nationally, we have identified the important role that young people play in national development. And so, in answering the question, if youth engagement is a right or a privilege, I think that this has already been answered, because for you to get the people and the government to deliberately make efforts to put youth in the position of participation and effective in national development, it is only when it is a right that you can call for. It is only at such point that you feel that you deserve it, you can demand for something. But when we see it as a privilege, then it looks like we are begging is a token. It's something that can be given or not given, or we have to get it because we are young people. But I think that when we come to that aspect where we feel like it's a right, and there should be that deliberate attempt to put us in that position that we deserve to play in national building, I would say it is a right.
Okay, thank you very much. So Sheila feels that it is a right. I'll be asking you a question. You made mention of participate, which is something I recall while serving as NUC's president. I have always argued against that. The youth do not want to participate. They want to be engaged. But it's debatable anyway. But let me go to pick Dr. Yakubu's introductory comment on that. Dr. Yakubu, what's your take on that? Is youth engagement for global action, one, is it a possibility, and is it a right or is it a privilege?
Okay, as far as youth engagement is concerned, as far as this topic is concerned, I will push it a bit a step further and say it's a matter of survival as young people, considering our numbers in the world right now. So it's a right, and then it's a matter of survival. Because if you look at the landscape, when it comes to decision making in the world at the moment, a lot of young people are taking a center stage in driving the narrative to go in a different direction. We've always waited for the politicians or policymakers to engage us or encourage us to participate. But a lot of young people right now are taking the bull by the horn. Either through entrepreneurial directions or grassroots youth mobilization projects. So I feel a lot of young people are beginning to realize that it's a matter of survival, because the fact that our numbers mean that some of the statistics on death, some of the mortality, morbidity statistics is also affecting us largely because of our numbers. So if we do not take action now, which a lot of young people are doing, then we might lose it, either our lives or quality of life or standard of living. So it's a right, it's a survival need, and then we must go at it, we must go at it with full force.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yakubu. Please stay online. I will get back to you with some questions. Let me get back to my guests in the studio here. So, Dr. Yakubu and Sheila opine that it is a right, but Dr. Yakubu went further to say that it's a matter of survival, or maybe survival of the fittest. You have to strive hard to get it through. So now, with over 1.2 billion youth across the nations of the world are being called upon to be actively engaged in global actions, what was happening wrong? What was going wrong? Why are the youth now being called upon to be actively engaged in global action? What do you think is the rationale behind this call? I will start with you, Emmanuel, and I'll come to Michael.
Okay, that means for this open up call, then that means we were in a default.
Okay.
And
when you say we were, you are referring to which people? The young people or
the system itself?
Okay,
means the system itself wasn't favoring the young people.
Okay.
So therefore, they need to recognize them. And as I will side with Sheila here, the fact that we've been recognized means now our rights have been given to us. And to put it even in a proper perspective, we have 1.2 billion.
Yeah, over 1.2 billion youth
in the world. And what is the world's population? Over 7 billion.
Yes.
That means there are still a majority of people, of the aged people, in the system.
Yeah.
And that means, and I'll link it to what Doctor was saying, that means it still will become the survival of the fittest.
Okay.
And linking it to a United Nations World Population Prospect 2017, it says that 142 million of the youth in the world are out of school. And this is with the second cycle institutions. And it also says that 71 million of the same youth are unemployed. And where I became frightened was 156 million of these youth who are even employed are living in poverty. And these are with the low and middle income countries.
Okay.
Now, bringing it back to Ghana, I find it overwhelming that the United Nations, and I stated earlier, focuses on two things: education and employment. And it is after these that we can actively have our youth engage.
Okay.
And
okay.
I am looking at another policy where the people who are also not being educated, and education can be debated on what grounds you would want to pick it.
Okay.
But I would want to bring in the people who are also in the informal sector. And now even coming back to our educational system, which I have a huge challenge with.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Just hold your gun so that we don't shoot it now. But your argument here is that it means something was wrong in the system. The system was not giving the right recognition to the young people, and now they want to do. Michael, what's your take on that?
Well,
what do you think should be the rationale behind this?
The rationale is, I think it's just because the youth has a stake, you know, in decision making.
Okay.
And they take a chunk of, for example, in Ghana, according to Ghana Sector Service, 57%, 24 are below 20. 57% of young people are below 24, and that is the 57% of young people of the population of the entire Ghana, and that's a lot, you know, and you know. It's even, it could be a threat to regional security, it could be a threat to national cohesion, it could be a threat because of the distinctive nature of a young person, active, dynamism. So I think the call is just in order.
Okay.
And it's just to remind us the roles of young people when it comes to decision making, the role of young people when it comes to leadership, the role of young people in a whole lot of the process. I mean, if Kofi Annan said, a nation that forgets its youth, that leaves its youth behind, it's not, that nation is still yet to be in line with the entire recommendation when it comes to youth engagement. So, I mean, it just tells us that it's not only when there's election is coming that you remember young people to mobilize them. It means we have to start engaging the young person. We have to start engaging youth right from the grassroots, from the scratch.
Okay.
So the call is in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Dr. Yusuf and Sheila. Yeah. Okay, Sheila, what's your take on that? What if the call is coming at this time? What do you think is the rationale behind this call? Let me pick your take, Sheila, first.
Yeah, I think that it was at a point that they realized something was missing.
Okay.
And what is missing is the young people. Over the years, we have continually heard the young people are the future. When is the future? The future is now.
What?
And so if those people we call the future leaders are not part of the process, how are we getting there? We shouldn't forget that when we talk of a youthful population, they drive innovation.
Yeah.
And so we have come to a time where technology, sustainability, food and security, and all these aspects, we are the active population. And so if we are absent in development, then we are not really getting to where we want to. Every year there are plans made, governments come, they make plans for the next tenure and next years, but we always forget the missing people, the missing ingredient, that is the young people. And so I think it had gotten to a time where they realized that these are the people that we need to get to where we want to be. And that is why the call. And it's timely and very important that young people have been recognized at this stage. And it's no more about talking, but it's now action.
Wow. Thank you very much, Sheila. So I nearly asked you that they realized that the youth are available. Where were the youth all this while? Maybe you'll be thinking about it and answer me later. But Dr. Yakubu, can I pick your take on this?
Okay, so let me quickly add to what Sheila said largely. And then her submission was on point as in relation to the question asked, as to they've realized that the youth have a lot to offer. That is why they've decided to engage the youths now. And most importantly, the youths are some of the brightest and then at the prime of intelligence largely. And if you don't engage these people in developing long-term plans, which they are supposed to be part of in the future, then what sense does it make? So I think the realization that the future we are building, those who will be in that future have not been included largely, has dawned on them. And then they realize that we have to, at this time around, we have to engage them, because this very future is what we are building for them. So people support what they help build. So there is a larger chance of success if the youths that this future is being built for are part of the development in the first place. So it's a good call, and I think it's in order.
Okay. Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Dr. Yakubu Yusuf. So these are the views of Sheila and Dr. Yakubu, and you have mentioned yours as well. So Sheila mentioned that maybe they realize that the youth have key roles to play, just as you were citing. And then Dr. Yakubu added his voice to it again. But I want to find out, and this time around, let me start with Dr. Yakubu, the guest on Zoom, and then I will come back to you in the studio. I want to find out, Dr. Yakubu, I will start with you this time around if you are still there.
Okay, I'm here.
What do we see to be the possible barriers to the attainment of this call of active engagement of youth in global actions? What do you envisage to be possible barriers that we should identify and start dealing with?
Like the guest in the studio said, it mentioned a sizable number of these young people who are not in school, and then who are also...
Hello. Okay, so I think we lost Dr. Yakubu. So let me... Okay. So let me pick my guest in the studio's take on that. What do you think would be the possible barriers to this particular call? Will it be possible to achieve it? Yes, but would there be barriers? What are the barriers? Let me start with you, Michael.
Societal barriers. For example, we are looking at lack of knowledge and skills, lack of access to information.
Okay.
It could be attitudes. The attitudes must change. Those are barriers, actually, because I've always said, when you talk about governance and participation, it's a shared responsibility, a shared duty. You can't just leave government 100% responsible for what happens to you. So those are the barriers. I mean, lack of opportunities. The avenues are not there. Let's be sincere. You have to create the opportunities. You have to create the forum for this engagement. So these are barriers, and of course, I'm sure my colleague here...
Yeah, Emmanuel, what other barriers do you suggest?
I think my big brother and senior colleague, Michael, has said a lot, but what I think would be our greatest barrier, or is even still our greatest barrier, is what I call regurgitating information and test taking in our educational system.
Say that again.
Regurgitating information and test taking.
Well, what do you mean by that?
And what I mean by that is that what we practice in our school is just chew and pour, the chew and pour attitude. And if you can do that very well, you are seen as the brilliant student, and you are even allowed or given the opportunity to even climb up higher. And that is where the survival of the fittest comes in. And that is why last week thereabout you saw some senior high schools cracking the whole country and burning things all over because they were fighting for their survival.
So basically you meant that our educational system, if not well structured, could be a challenge to that. Okay, so Dr. Yakubu is back online. Let me just pick his take on that. Dr. Yakubu, what you were about making some points, please.
Yeah, I was talking about the education, and then I referenced the speaker in the studio who talked about the quality of education, a number of people who are not in school, as well as the number of people who are not employed. Because if I'm not employed, I don't have what to eat. How would I be available to engage in developing a solution for the future? So these are some of the barriers that should be addressed as quick as possible. Quality education, more education for those who are out of school, and increasing employment for people who are not employed. In that way, they are empowered to think, they are empowered to contribute when they are called upon to do so.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So, Dr. Yakubu, I will be asking a question based on your second point you made. So stand by for me. Let me pick Sheila. If Sheila is still online, let me pick.
I'm here.
Yeah, Sheila, what's your take on that? What are the possible barriers we should be looking at? Maybe from your point as head for gender. Can you hear me, Sheila?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I can hear you. So when you take the International Labour Organization in 2019, according to them, the unemployment rate in Ghana was 13.69.
Yeah, 13.
As against a 0.1 decrease in 2018. I'm making reference to this because one of the barriers that faces young people is unemployment.
Yeah.
And over the years, governments day in, day out come out with employment policies which are aimed at getting young people employed. But we still have data not reflecting that these programs are actually solving the problems that they are set out to. Let me come out with another one. I think that this whole thing has to do with getting we young people actively engaged. And when I say this, I'm referring to, in Ghana, the lawmaking body, it's parliament. And we need elected reps to represent us in parliament. As of now, we have just 6% of parliamentarians who are less than 35 years. That is the youth bracket. And so getting young people even to occupy such positions, when you look at the barriers, I identify one of the most important things to be resources. When I talk about resource, it would come in various aspects, but you can look at the cost involved in even picking up nomination forms and in campaigning to be elected into such an office. So for me, I see that another barrier or an important barrier when it comes to active engagement in youth will be resources. And I'm talking of financial and talking about financial, because when you look at all the other resources in terms of skills, we have it. We have it. But when it comes to elected positions, sometimes it has to do with the financial resource. And this is as a result of unemployment, because if you are not employed, how do you make a living? How do you make ends meet? To be able to save, or should I say invest in run such political positions. So for me, irrespective of the major challenges that always have to do with education and unemployment, but we know that for young people to be able to have access to just resources to actively participate in elected positions, then unemployment as a result would help them to be, employment I should say, would enable them to be able to participate in certain levels of youth engagement.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very thoughtful, Sheila. So you have raised very cogent points, and we'll come back for the discussion, but I'll be going for a commercial break. So just want to let you know so that you can be ready. I'll be going for a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the areas that we expect the youth to be actively engaged. And also, are there working policies or documents that will aid the implementation of this call globally? But today, viewers, we have been discussing so far is the call for youth engagement for global action a possibility or a mirage? And I'll be joining the studio by 2 guests and also 2 other guests via Zoom. Stay tuned. We're going for a commercial break. When we return, the discussion continues.
You need that quality video for your TV, your YouTube and Facebook page. Talk to us. Mido Studios, experts in TV shows, virtual concerts, e-learning videos, reality show auditions, preaching, live band recordings and radio commercials. Call now for your booking on 0302 234087 or 0502 651282. Mido Studios, affordable prices awaits you.
Art Music Solutions School, we teach all the instruments, the piano, the guitar, and drums. drums, the trumpets available. You can learn sound engineering. So come, for we meet specific music needs. Art Music Solutions, we teach all the instruments, the piano, the guitar, and drums. The trumpets available. You can learn sound engineering. So come, for we meet specific music needs. Contact us on 03.
Hello viewers, you are welcome back to the Voice of the Youth. As you may be aware, the Voice of the Youth is a program that is discussion that promotes personal and national development of young people in Ghana and beyond. Today, we have been discussing so far on the topic, is youth engagement for global action a possibility or a mirage? And I'll be joined by 4 guests, 2 in the studio and 2 via Zoom. And so far, we have discussed quite a number of issues relating to this topic. At the moment, we are going to continue with our discussion. So I want you to stay tuned, make comments, send in your comments, and I will read them out, ask questions, and I will respond to your questions. You can also call in by calling the number 030-2233-021, or you can call 030-2234-087, and we'll respond to your questions. If you want to send a WhatsApp, you can send a WhatsApp on 050-2651-282, and we'll respond to all your questions. But don't forget to share the link, like our page, subscribe, and also invite someone to follow us all the time. So my name is Pakwesi. I'm your host for the program. Michael and Emmanuel, welcome back to the discussion. So I was asking if there are key areas we are expecting youth to be actively engaged as far as the call is concerned. So what are the areas, assuming you are supposed to advise young people or talk to the president of Ghana, what are the 2 key areas? Maybe if you can give me at least 2 each. What are the areas you are expecting the youth to be actively engaged in? So who should I start with? I'll start with you. I'll come to Michael.
Okay, so first and foremost, I would say creativity. And I would say creativity because the July 2015 IBM report says that the 1,500 chief executives who were asked that what is the next best leadership skill in the world, they said creativity. And I think that is where the focus of our schools are. And sadly, if you are in kindergarten or even you are in crèche and you started shading and you even shade out of the box, you are given a knock on your head. And that is where creativity of some of these young ones are stopped. And it still can be debated, I know. And the next thing that I would talk...
Let me ask a question. So how are the youth going to be engaged in terms of creativity?
That is why I said our educational system.
Okay.
The focus is not there.
Okay.
Our only concentration is about the regurgitating information and test taking, which I think only represents 0% of our future.
Okay, so I hear you. Your terminologies, right? Okay, let's go to the second point.
Yes, the second point is also, I think, the system in which we live. We have a Ministry of Youth and Sports. I think if we can just separate the Ministry of Youth and get someone who is in the youthful bracket to occupy that position, then we would have taken the first step. Someone will also say we have the Ministry of, the National Youth Authority and the Youth Employment Agency all in the team to help the Ministry of Youth and Sports. But I think it is not enough. First time in the history of Ghana, we saw a youthful minister in the person of Honorable Kojo Opan-Koma, who assumed the position of minister at the age of 35. And that can only attest to the fact that if youth are given the opportunity, we can do better and we can even do far better. And one thing about the youth is that, you see, they can come up with innovations or ideas that are even mind-boggling. 2015, I saw someone, and at that time, the issue of drones wasn't on the ascendancy in Ghana. In Tamale Sports Stadium, come up with a drone, and he made it from these plastic bottles, and it captured 500 pictures in a minute at Tamale Sports Stadium. The 2015 SADA Business Forum Conference for the Ghana Institute of Engineers. They had this national plan.
So you want the youth to be engaged in
a lot more
political positions and other aspect, especially maybe to our educational system as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Michael, what areas, key areas, assuming you get a chance to speak to the president?
There's what you call institutionalized participation.
Okay.
Institutionalized participation. And
Okay.
the whole idea of that is the ability to mobilize, engage, and empower.
Okay.
Now, ability to even govern, to even mobilize is key, but there is a challenge, and the challenge is that the young people are working in silence, they're working in isolation. Everybody probably wants to just do their thing so that they would. No, but you see, where the power lies, actually, to answer your question, is the ability to come together to form a synergy. Either you want to participate in the mainstream politics or you want to, but the civil society engagement is very key because they are the one that actually, puts the system in check. When you become an MP, it's difficult for you to criticize the government. I mean, of course, party is supreme. You can't even criticize your party. But if
you think so,
I mean, it will be very difficult because there's a basic rule. Party is supreme. They keep on saying that, meaning that party comes first in everything. But anyway, let's leave that.
I think you should start following the history of some of us when we're student leaders.
Oh, that's why
we consider the student interest.
Now you are no more an activist; you are an active citizen. Citizen is not spectator.
Okay, but Michael, let me get this. So,
okay,
do we think that the youth should be engaged only in political positions?
Exactly.
Because I think that there is a variety, or there are various means or possible ways that the youth be engaged.
And I completely agree with you.
Yes,
there's a perception.
Okay.
And the perception is that, when you ask a young person, what do you want to become? And you hear something like, I want to become a politician. You begin to ask yourself a lot of questions. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of, is it a day-to-day, is it a business? Because it's more like, I know it's a business, but I'm saying, you see, it's because of the whole mindset that needs to be renewed. I mean, there's a whole lot of engagement process. You can engage a civil society engagement is even more important.
Okay, for the purpose of clarity and setting the record straight, what do you mean by politicians or politics a business? Because I would like to set a record.
Or political business.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't think it's a business.
The business of when is business is business. We are here. We are in, this is a business, right? We are running a business.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean the act of buying and selling or trade alone. It means the act of engagement.
Just to set the record straight,
oh yes.
That we don't mean to kind of narrow political activities that is some from business.
No.
But basically we are saying that it's a form of activity that people engage in for some interest or whatever it is, just to set the record straight. Now, beyond politics, beyond one becoming an MP, beyond one becoming an assemblyman or president of the Republic of Ghana, what other areas? What other areas?
Development area. Sorry to interject. It was talking about we need educational reform. The whole idea of you finishing from school, and you can see people behind the cameras. So maybe somebody went to read cinematography, but cannot even handle camera after graduation. Cannot even handle a machine. If you go to KNUSC, you see lots of machines being set up in the but you can't even get them run this. So I mean, development.
So the youth will be actively engaged in
areas of development. It's very key because we need to develop the.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think just to add to what Michael said, I think building our human capacity is key. I don't know whether you are aware, the 6th November 2018 World Bank report on poor education in Ghana states that in the next 18 years, 56 of our youth may go waste because we are not building their capacity. So we have to look at some ventures that Michael was just talking about. So I think
we will go into that as for the roles the youth are expected to play. So let me just pick the take of Dr. Yakubu. Dr. Yakubu, what is your take on that? What areas do you think the youth should be actively engaged in?
For me, I'll start most importantly with capacity building in the area of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
It's very, very important. So, for example, we have Lord Anthony Bassing in Ghana, a young man who is changing the narrative when it comes to test kits, vaginal test kits. And it's the same person who developed the COVID-19 rapid test kits when COVID first came to Ghana. Joshua Ayimbura as well in the eastern region, transforming pineapple farming and exporting and putting the name of Ghana on the map.
Okay.
If you take a look at Facebook, if you take a look at Amazon, some of the best companies in the world, they were developed by their founders when they were youths.
Okay.
So these people, as youths, we agree have some of the brightest minds, and we are allowing them waste away. Not just the formal education that we know. There are people who don't have all the degrees up to the university. Somebody I know in Accra here, he has a couple of businesses and he's doing very well because he's been able to apply himself in growing his business.
Okay.
So if the system supports young people who are involved in all manner of entrepreneurship, some are already lifting themselves up personally, and then a lot of friends who are involved in entrepreneurship haven't gotten any government support since we started. But at the end of the day, a lot of people have been able to transform the society in which they live or their immediate environment as far as development.
Okay, so I think we just lost Dr. Yakubu. Is Sheila? So like, okay, so Yakubu is talking about capacity building and engaging the youth in entrepreneurial activities.
Governance,
yes,
not politics.
Yes, okay, so that's as I want us to look beyond the boundaries of politics. Yes, and what other areas? Because I know young people who are engaged in some entertainment activities. They compose music, they sing very well, and some of them, all they needed was a push, or it's a push. And then they can turn around our entertainment environment, young people in sports, maybe sports journalism or sports writers or who are or on the field playing. So I think these are areas that youth can also be engaged in. I don't know if you have any other views. So that quickly we can look at the next question. So for me, these are some of the areas that the youth should be engaged in. You recall Sheila mentioned that 6% he mentioned that about the International Labour Organization's record.
ILO.
Yes, about unemployment rate, which is about 13.69. And if you look at that 13.69, they also went ahead to say that 60% of that 13.69 are people who are less than 24 years. Can't they be actively engaged? Well, we'll look at that maybe some other day when we are continuing our discussion on unemployment. But now, I'll ask that, do we have working documents? What's the rationale behind this question? Okay, so I'll come back to that, but Sheila is online. Sheila. Hello, Sheila.
Hello.
Yeah, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
So what are some of the areas you think the youth should be actively engaged in?
I think that my colleagues have really stated the key points, but I think I would just have to add in terms of innovation, that's in technology. And you would realize that we are actually in a technological era now. And it is also very encouraging when you see some sort of innovations around technology that our young people are bringing out. And that is because we have to evolve as we are growing. And so technological aspects, technological sector, technological innovations are very important for we, the young ones right now. And in light of education, I have a very personal, deep interest when it comes to the technical and vocational skills.
Okay.
Because I think that over the years, there have been these aspects have actually been shown in a very bad light, where we have not come to that time of accepting that these are equally important areas that we need in national development. And it is very important that we realize that even young people who have completed university, have gone to the highest level of education, in terms of entrepreneurship, these things are driven from the vocational and some technical aspects of development. And so I think it's a very important area that every government must focus on, because it actually seems that the world is evolving around these sectors, and we have to play a very key role in making sure that they are developed in the best way that we can all play our part in.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sheila. I will get back to you in a second. In 60 seconds, you can give me your concluding remarks. But let's respond to these questions, all of you. Are there working documents, and what are the roles expected of the youth to play as far as this call is concerned? In 60 seconds. Let me start with you, Emmanuel, and then I come to Mike in 60 seconds.
Are there working documents? Yes, they are. And if you recall, in 2009, President Mills set up a committee to review it. They reviewed it, and implementation started somewhere 2014. So you could even realize that even when it comes to implementation, we have a challenge with it.
Which document are you referring to?
I'm talking about, there was this national, he set up the constitution review, President Mills. And later, they came up with a national document, policy document for youth.
Yes.
But when implementation started somewhere 2014, and even till now, we even still have to go back and look at the implementation. So
so maybe we have the National Youth Policy. That was formulated and launched 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago. Just 10 years ago it was launched. But we needed the airline, the legislative instrument that will control the implementation. That is what we are still struggling with.
Yes.
So for me, I can say that we don't have the working document for that. But what are the youth expected to rule?
For me,
sorry for cutting in.
Yes, for me, I think the youth, should strategically position themselves.
Two,
the youth should also know that education is not only about formal education. We also have informal education.
So they should educate themselves well.
Yes, and also they are building their human capacity index. They should know.
Thank you very much.
Government have
Your
a role.
time is up. I'll take Michael's own.
Okay, regionally we have the Africa Youth Charter already.
Sure.
Ghana rectified 2008. And signed 2008, and it was rectified 2013. Of course, the National Youth Policy, which was launched 2012. Elimina. And if you look at that policy document, like you said, Section 6 outlines the priority areas: youth in agriculture, youth in ICT, gender mainstream, and all that. And if you look at the Section 9 of that same document, talks about the roles of state and non-state actors. But these documents are there. The question is this: the golden question is this: to what extent have we been able to implement? So what is the role of youth? We have to organize this consultative, we have to have a consultative stakeholders forum for engagement. And of course, we have to be digital compliant.
Thank
Digitization.
We have to digitize our activities. So Sheila, your concluding remarks, if you can talk about the expected role of the youth, please.
For me, I think that I'm making reference to this year being an election year. And I would want to, because if you look at elections now, it is basically characterized by vigilantism. And that is very sad to note that most of these people, or those recruited in this avenue, are mostly young people. And so I would actually want to use this opportunity to talk to sensitize the young people, the youth, that we should not allow ourselves to be used as instruments by these politicians to perpetrate violence in our upcoming election. And I think what I want to also add is that in this year of election as well, we have to, as future leaders, as those who want to be engaged and also participate, I'm actually encouraging all young people to come out in their numbers and take part in the civil rights. And I think that it is actually a mandate that everyone should come out to vote in the 2020 election, because it is very important that these people are those going to make the policies, the programs. They are those that are going to engage us. And so we have to make the right decision. And I think apathy level should be a no-go area. We should all get involved in this year's election.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Sheila Adams, thank you very much for the wonderful contribution. Sheila Adams was one of my guests, and she happened to be the deputy head, gender and policy for African Center for Women and Politics. Thank you, Sheila. I hope to have you again some other time on one other topic that I will discuss with you behind the scene. So, Dr. Yakubu, your concluding remarks and the roles of the youth expected.
Okay, I'll be quick on my concluding remarks, as most people have already talked about some of the key areas. My message would be to the youths themselves that they should take opportunities to improve on themselves.
Okay.
There has never been a time in history where there is so much information where you can get from them now. You could become skilled in web development online. You could become skilled in app development online. You could become skilled in developing video editing online. There are so many free opportunities to learn so many skills. So a lot of people should take up this opportunity. I'm a medical practitioner, but I do professional graphics design. I do professional motion graphics.
Yeah, I know.
And to be told, these skills of mine, in the past few months, the Ghana Health Service have engaged me in developing content for public consumption as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And this is an opportunity I had. And there are lots of opportunities out there. If the youth would take it a notch further, instead of the basic university education or the standard university education or SHS education, they should learn a skill, improve on themselves, add value to themselves. That way it becomes very easy for governments.
Okay, well, that was great ideas Dr. Yakubu was sharing with us, but we lost him. But Dr. Yakubu, I want to say thank you very much for sharing your views and your thoughts with us on this very topic and the discussion for that matter. I hope to have you once again on another show. So you are with me. I want to say thank you so much, and God bless you for making it. And we appreciate you, Michael and Emmanuel. Michael Okpeyemi Ige is the development consultant for UN project for UN, and he's also the project manager for Youth Leaders Fellowship Program, United Nations Populations Fund. Big man. And also Emmanuel Abu Appington, UN Youth Ghana. He's the secretary for the board of directors. He is CEO of Mampet World and broadcast journalist at Radio Universe, behind the headline show. Michael and Emmanuel, thank you for making it. And I want to say thank you to you, my viewers and followers who have made time, dedicated your data to follow us on Mido TV on YouTube and also on the Facebook page. Say thank you very much. And I'd like to say that we'll be coming your way on this hit platform on Wednesday for a program captioned Chewadwin. Chewadwin is a social program that discusses issues that enables you to share your view on very social topic, and it is hosted by Naichan. It comes to you on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Then the next day, which is Thursday, you are hosted by DJ Humble on Throwback Thursday Bash from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Remember, on Thursday, all these other art programs comes to you live on this platform, Mido TV on YouTube and Mido Productions Facebook page live. Don't go anywhere on these days, just stay tuned. But until then, this has been the voice of the youth. And I also want to say thank you to my crew, the director, Dominic Ansansare, Jeff, Pate, Emmanuel, Mr. Sante, Maxwell, Edmond, Abigail, and Abel. Thank you so much. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate you all. And to you, thank you for joining. This has been the voice of the youth. My name is Pakwesi Edu, your host. I'll come your way next week, Monday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. Until then, stay safe. COVID-19 is real.